Don't know how to explain this without my voice shaking a little, but I need you to hear me with your heart. Because from the moment you pressed play, something inside me woke up again. Something soft, something warm, something that only reacts when you are here. And I don't know why this happens every time. But the moment I think about you, I start imagining a future that feels so real, like I've already lived it in my dreams. And that's why I want to tell you something tonight. Something I've never said this openly before. I feel like I already know how our first night will be. Not in a bold way, not in a physical way, but in that emotional way where two souls finally rest after searching for each other for too long. I can already see the kind of silence we'll share, the kind that isn't empty, the kind that feels full of love, full of safety, full of that comfort you only get when you're with the right person. And I swear the feeling of imagining that moment keeps pulling me closer to you every day. There's something about you that makes me slow down, something that makes me breathe softer. I imagine you sitting in front of me, your eyes lowering because you don't know how to handle how deeply I'm looking at you. And I know I shouldn't say this, but I can't help it. I imagine you feeling shy, and I imagine myself trying to hold back a smile, because I already know I won't be able to stop watching you. And maybe that's why I keep thinking about that first night. Not the way people usually talk about it, but the way hearts talk about it. I picture myself sitting with you, just holding your hands, feeling your warmth in my palms. I imagine whispering your name slowly, like I'm tasting the feeling of finally having you near me. And I imagine you looking at me in that soft way, the way that makes me forget the whole world. Sometimes I wonder if you ever imagine it too. Do you ever think about how it would feel to sit close to me? Do you ever picture what your heart would do if I held your hands for the first time? Do you ever imagine what your smile would look like when I tell you that I've waited for this moment longer than you will ever know? Because I imagine it. And I imagine it so clearly that it scares me sometimes. I imagine the room feeling quiet, the world feeling slow, like time itself is respecting us for finally reaching each other. And I imagine myself telling you softly, almost in a whisper, that I don't want to rush anything. That I just want to sit with you, talk with you, understand you, feel you breathe, feel you relax, feel you trust me enough to let your heart open in front of me. And you don't even know how much that means to me. The thought of you trusting me. There's a moment I keep dreaming about, and I don't know why it hits me so deep. It's the moment where I gently lift your chin because you're too shy to look at me directly. And when your eyes finally meet mine, I feel like a part of me finally returns home. I don't know if you understand how powerful that image is to me. The idea of seeing your eyes up close for the first time. Every time I think about it, I feel something strong inside my chest. It's not desire, it's connection. It's the kind of softness that only happens when two souls recognize each other. And maybe that's why I keep imagining this night. Because I'm not imagining your body. I'm imagining your heart. I imagine sitting beside you, not touching you at first, just being near you. I imagine you feeling nervous, your fingers moving slightly, not knowing what to do. And then I imagine myself slowly reaching out, intertwining my fingers with yours. Not pulling you closer, just letting you know that I'm there, that I'm not going anywhere, that you're safe with me. And I imagine the way you'd breathe in that moment. Slow, soft, like you're realizing something you always wanted is finally happening. And I imagine myself telling you that I don't need anything from you. I just want you to be you. I want to listen to you talk about the small things, the fears you hide, the dreams you don't tell anyone, because that's what that first night means to me. Being vulnerable with you and letting you be vulnerable with me. I imagine myself brushing a strand of hair away from your face. Not because I want to make you shy, but because I already know I won't be able to resist touching you gently. And I imagine you closing your eyes for a second, not knowing why the moment feels so heavy and so beautiful at the same time. Sometimes, I wonder if you know how deeply you affect me. Because when I imagine that night, it's not about closeness, it's about connection. It's about finally being able to look at you without a screen between us. It's about feeling your presence, your warmth, your heartbeat. It's about the soft silence between us that will say more than words ever could. I imagine telling you that everything I ever said, every confession, every soft moment I shared with you, all of it was real. And I imagine you looking at me like you don't know how to handle that level of honesty. And I imagine myself smiling softly, because I already know how precious you are when you get shy. And maybe the most emotional part for me is imagining how peaceful you would look beside me, not trying to impress me, not trying to hide anything, just simply being you. And I imagine holding your hand tightly that night, letting you feel that you're wanted, you're valued, you're chosen. And I imagine whispering to you that I waited for you even before I knew who you were. And that's why I keep imagining this night, because it's not just a moment, it's a beginning. It's the first chapter of something beautiful, something real, something that keeps pulling me toward you again and again. And I don't want to end this story here, because the truth is, every time I talk about you, the story becomes deeper. Every time I imagine you, the connection grows stronger. Every time I think about that night, my heart whispers the same thing. This isn't just a dream. This feels like destiny slowly walking toward me, and I don't know when that night will come. I don't know where it will happen, but I know one thing clearly: when I close my eyes, it will be with you. I don't know why, but the moment you came back to listen again, something inside me shifted, like my heart leaned forward without my permission. I can feel the pull of you from here, and it's strange how your presence, even through a screen, can change the way my voice feels inside my chest. And maybe you don't realize it, but whenever you return, the story inside me starts breathing again. The same story that began the moment I told you how I imagine our first night. And now, I feel like I need to open that door a little more, because there's still so much I've been holding inside. You know what's been happening to me? Every time I close my eyes, that night becomes clearer. I can feel the room's warmth. I can feel the quiet. I can feel the way your heartbeat would slowly match mine. And it's not a fantasy. It's something that feels emotional, like a memory from a future we haven't lived yet. And that idea keeps pulling me deeper into you. I imagine myself walking toward you slowly, not wanting to scare you, not wanting to rush anything, just wanting to take one calm step at a time, because I know how delicate your heart is. I know how easily you get nervous when feelings get too real. And I imagine myself stopping right in front of you, looking at you gently, like I'm seeing something precious for the first time. And in that moment, I imagine you lowering your eyes again. Not because you're shy, but because you can feel how deeply I'm noticing you. And I don't think you understand how powerful that moment would be for me, because you don't know what you do to me when you act shy. You don't know how it slows everything inside me, how it makes me want to protect you even more. I imagine myself sitting beside you again, but this time closer. Close enough that your shoulder could slightly touch mine if you moved just an inch. And I imagine you feeling the warmth of me near you, wondering if you should lean closer or stay still. And you know what I would do? I'd wait. I'd wait softly. I'd wait with the kind of patience that only comes when the heart is completely sure about someone. Because I would want you to make the first move. Not a big move, just something tiny, like shifting your hand a little closer, or breathing a bit deeper, or glancing at me from the corner of your eye. And I imagine myself noticing every little detail of you, the way your fingers move when you're nervous, The way your lips press together when you're thinking, the way your shoulders rise slightly when you try to calm your heartbeat. And then, I imagine the moment where I finally reach out again. But this time, instead of just holding your hand, I lift it slowly and bring it closer to me. Not to kiss it, not to do anything bold, just to hold it with a kind of gentleness you've never felt before. And I imagine telling you softly that I'm not here to rush your heart, I'm here to understand it. And maybe that's why the night feels so emotional to me. Because it's not about touching you. It's about knowing you. It's about understanding the feelings behind your silence. It's about making sure you never feel alone again. And I imagine myself telling you that if your hands shake, it's okay. If your voice cracks, it's okay. If you can't look at me for a few seconds, it's okay. Because I'll understand every part of you. There's a moment I keep seeing again and again in my mind. The moment your head slowly rests on my shoulder for the first time. That simple moment, that quiet connection. And I imagine myself freezing for a second. Not because I'm surprised, but because the warmth of you would hit me so deeply that I won't know how to breathe properly. And then slowly, so slowly, I would relax into that moment, letting my head tilt slightly toward yours. I imagine the way you would feel leaning against me. Safe, calm, soft. And I imagine the way your breath would warm the side of my neck. And I imagine myself whispering your name again, but this time closer, softer, like it belongs only to me. And that moment, that closeness, it becomes so real in my mind that it almost hurts. I imagine the silence in the room changing, becoming heavier, warmer, more meaningful. Not uncomfortable, not overwhelming, just full of something we both waited for, but never said out loud. And I imagine myself telling you quietly that you don't have to be perfect for me. You don't have to be strong, or confident, or fearless. You can be exactly who you are, and I will still choose you. And maybe that's why my voice goes soft every time I think about this night. Because the feeling is too big, too personal, too honest. And sometimes I wonder if you were actually sitting beside me right now. Would you let me talk to you like this? Would you let me open my heart this much? Would you let yourself feel everything you usually try to hide? Because I know you hide your emotions. I know you pretend to be okay, even when you feel lonely. I know you don't let anyone see how deeply you feel things. But I imagine that night being the first time you finally let yourself be seen. And I imagine myself being the one who makes you feel safe enough to open up. I imagine myself telling you that I'm here, fully, honestly, without fear. And I imagine you finally looking into my eyes, not shy anymore, not hiding, just looking like you're trying to understand why someone feels this deeply for you. And I imagine myself whispering the truth, that I've already fallen for the way you exist. I imagine the way you would breathe after hearing that. A slow inhale, a soft exhale, like you just released a weight you've been holding for years. And I imagine myself brushing the back of your hand with my thumb, letting you know that everything I'm saying is real. And then, I imagine the moment where you finally lean in closer, not for a kiss, not for anything intense, just for closeness, just to feel loved, just to feel like you belong somewhere. And I imagine myself wrapping my arm gently around you, pulling you into my chest. Not tightly, not forcefully, just enough that you can finally feel how real this connection is. And the crazy part is, the more I imagine it, the more I feel like destiny isn't something we chase. It's something we slowly walk into. And every time you come back to listen to me, every time your heart reacts to my words, every time you feel something you can't explain, it feels like we're stepping toward that night. Step by step. I don't know when that night will become real. I don't know how our paths will cross. I don't know what moment will bring us face to face. But I know this. Every time I imagine that night, you feel closer. Every time I speak to you like this, you feel real. Every time your heart reacts, my heart understands something deeper. And maybe that's why I keep talking. Maybe that's why I keep imagining. Maybe that's why I keep falling. Because something inside me whispers the same thing again and again. You're meant for me. You're already written in my future. And that first night, it won't just be a moment, it will be the beginning of everything. I don't know what happened to me after I said all of that to you. But the moment the words left my mouth, something inside me started shaking in a way I can't explain. It felt like my own heart wasn't ready for how real everything suddenly became. And now that you're here again, listening to me, breathing through my words, letting your heart open just a little more, I can feel something pulling me even deeper toward you. It's like my emotions stopped asking for permission and just started moving straight in your direction. And maybe you don't even know how powerful that is, how powerful you are. Because every time I speak to you like this, I feel something warm, something heavy, something soft, spreading through my chest. It makes me want to tell you everything I've ever held inside, everything I've ever been afraid to admit, everything I've wanted to hide. And, if I'm honest, I think I've already started telling you things I've never told anyone else. Like, how your silence does something to me, how your listening changes me, how your presence feels like the answer to questions I never knew I had. And now, this story, this night, I've been imagining with you, it's growing inside me even more. I can see it unfolding like a slow whisper, like the kind of moment you only experience once in a lifetime. And the craziest part is, the more I imagine it, the more I feel like you're already here with me. I imagine the night growing deeper around us, everything becoming quieter, everything calming down, everything slowing just enough for the two of us to feel the truth between us. And I imagine myself watching you carefully, noticing every little expression on your face, the softness in your eyes, the way your lips tighten slightly when you're trying to process your feelings, the warmth that rises in your cheeks when you hear something too honest. I imagine you sitting there in front of me, not running away, not hiding your emotions anymore. And I imagine myself taking another slow step toward you, not physical but emotional. A step that tells you, I'm not afraid to go deeper, even if it scares me. A step that tells you your heart is safe with me, even if the world hasn't treated it gently before. And I imagine myself telling you something I've been hiding quietly behind my words. That your presence feels like home in a way I never expected. I imagine myself reaching for your hand again. But this time, I don't stop at holding it. This time, I gently let my fingers wrap around yours, slowly, like I want to memorize the way your skin feels under my touch. And I imagine the warmth of your palm meeting mine, creating this quiet electricity that makes my stomach tighten and my voice go soft. And I imagine you looking up at me, searching for something in my face. Maybe a sign that everything I'm saying is real. And I swear, in that moment I would look back at you with the kind of honesty that leaves no space for doubt. The kind of honesty that only exists when a heart is no longer afraid of being seen. I imagine myself telling you softly that I don't want this night to be rushed. I don't want it to be loud. I don't want it to be overwhelming. I want it to be ours. Slow, gentle, meaningful, emotional. I want it to feel like a moment we will both carry forever. I want it to feel like the night where everything changes without needing anything dramatic. Just the truth, just the closeness, just the feeling of you and me sitting in the same world at the same time. I imagine the way you would breathe after hearing that, a little deeper, a little slower, like your heart is adjusting to something new. And I imagine myself noticing the way your chest rises gently, the way your shoulders relax, as if you've been waiting for someone to tell you you're safe. And then, I imagine myself leaning just a little closer to you. Not enough to overwhelm you, not enough to blur the line, just enough for you to feel the warmth of me, the presence of me, the intention of me. And I imagine your heartbeat reacting, not out of fear, but out of something tender you've been hiding from yourself. In that moment, the whole night changes. The air shifts. The silence becomes thick with meaning. And I imagine myself lowering my voice even more as I whisper near your ear that I'm not here just to hold your hand. I'm here to understand the way your heart works. I'm here to understand why you hide your deepest feelings. I'm here to understand why you look away whenever you're scared of wanting something too much. And you know what I imagine next? You finally letting your guard fall a little. I imagine your shoulders dropping. I imagine your breath softening. I imagine you letting yourself feel the moment without pulling away. And then something inside me moves again. A quiet urge, a soft wish, a feeling that makes me reach up slowly and gently push a strand of hair behind your ear. And I imagine your eyes widening slightly, not because you're scared, but because that touch feels more meaningful than you expected. More personal, more intimate, more real. I imagine myself telling you that you don't have to hide that softness anymore. I imagine myself promising you that your delicate side is safe with me, that your vulnerability doesn't make you weak. It makes you beautiful. It makes you human. It makes you feel like someone I want to protect, someone I want to understand, someone I want to grow with. And I imagine you finally whispering something back, maybe not words, maybe just a breath, maybe just a soft sound that tells me your heart is opening. And I imagine myself leaning closer again, my forehead almost touching yours, and I whisper something I've been holding deep inside, that I feel connected to you in a way I can't explain. The night becomes even quieter after that. The world outside fades away. It feels like only you and me exist. I imagine myself taking your other hand, gently, slowly, and bringing them both closer to my chest. And I imagine you feeling my heartbeat through my shirt, the way it speeds up when you're close, the way it reacts to the sound of your breath, the way it betrays every emotion I've been trying to control. And I imagine myself telling you that this connection, this moment, this closeness, it isn't something I want to escape. It's something I want to build, something I want to grow, something I want to keep alive inside both of us. I imagine myself leaning closer again, our faces inches apart, and I whisper that you are already becoming a part of my story, a part of my future, a part of my heart. And I imagine you finally realizing something you didn't expect, that you feel the same pull, that you feel the same connection, that you feel the same softness growing inside you, slowly, quietly, beautifully. And maybe that's why this night keeps growing in my imagination. Because every time I speak to you like this, you feel closer, you feel real, you feel like someone I could spend a lifetime understanding. And this night, this slow, emotional, intimate night, it doesn't end here. It's still unfolding. It's still deepening. It's still pulling us closer, one breath at a time. I don't know why, but the more I think about you, the more I feel something growing inside my chest. Something that makes me breathe a little deeper. Something that makes me stare into the dark with a small smile on my face. And right now, as I'm talking to you like this, I feel like you're sitting in front of me, quietly listening, looking at me with those eyes that make everything inside me calm. I keep wondering if you even understand what you're doing to me. How your presence in my mind has turned my normal life into something brighter. You have no idea how many times a single thought of you has made my whole day feel different. Like someone switched on the light in a dark room I had forgotten I was standing in. Every time I imagine that night we talked about before, the night that belongs only to us. Something inside me becomes warm, almost like a soft fire that doesn't burn, but melts something heavy inside me. I imagine walking into the room and seeing you there, waiting, and my heart beats in a way I can't even control. And I keep thinking, what will you feel in that moment? Will your hands shake a little the way mine probably will? Will you look at me with that shy smile you hide, even though you don't know? I can feel it. I imagine your heart beating a little faster too. But not because of fear, because of recognition, because you'll know you're finally where you belong. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I imagine the way you look up at me that night. Not with confusion, not with doubt, but with that soft trust you don't give easily. I imagine the way you'll take a slow breath when I move closer, and I can almost feel your heartbeat connecting with mine, like two wires finally touching. And every time this picture appears in my mind, it makes me wonder, why does it feel so real? Why does it feel like I've already lived this moment? Maybe because love makes the future feel like memory. Maybe because from the moment you entered my world, every part of me started preparing for you without asking my permission. You don't know this, but I talk to you even when you're not around. Not with words, but with feelings. With the way I sit quietly and imagine telling you things I don't tell anyone. With the way I smile at my phone even when there's nothing on the screen. With the way I wait, hoping one day you will understand how deep this connection already is. I don't even try to stop myself anymore. What's the point of pretending I'm not affected? You've already taken a place inside me that no one else ever reached. It's like you unlocked a part of me that I didn't even know existed. And sometimes, I wonder if you feel it too, even a little. Do you also think about someone quietly, secretly? Do you feel a soft pull towards someone who talks to your heart in a way you can't explain? Do you ever imagine your future and see someone standing beside you, but the face is blurred, and somewhere deep down, you hope that face becomes mine? I don't need your answer right now. I just want you to think about it for a moment and feel the truth inside your chest, because sometimes your heart speaks before your mind understands. There were nights when I tried to distract myself, telling myself, maybe I'm imagining too much. Maybe she doesn't think about me this deeply. But then I remember the way your presence enters my mind without warning. I remember the way my heart reacts when I speak to you, and suddenly all those doubts disappear. Because something inside me whispers, no, this connection is not normal. This is something rare, something that doesn't happen twice in one lifetime. And that's when I knew you are not someone I can forget. You are someone I can only move toward. When I imagine that night again, the night I already know will feel like ours. The details come in so clearly that it scares me. I imagine the silence of the room, the soft lights, the slow breath between us, the way everything else disappears. I imagine holding your hands for the first time, feeling your fingers slowly curl around mine. And I imagine telling you, in the softest voice I've ever used, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And I swear, even thinking about this makes my heart fill with something so deep that I can't describe it with any simple word. I've never been this honest before. I've never felt this kind of pull towards someone. And I don't care how this sounds. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to create a perfect moment. I'm just telling you exactly what's happening inside me. Because I feel like you already know. Even if you never say it, you can feel when someone's energy is tied to yours. You can feel when someone thinks about you in ways that go beyond normal affection. And I know that if you close your eyes right now, you'll feel me thinking about you. Sometimes I sit quietly and think, what will you feel the first time I touch your face? Will your eyes close on their own? Will you lean into my hand like you've been waiting for that moment for years? Or will you just look at me with that soft expression that says more than any words could say? And every time I imagine it, I can feel something inside me move, something that makes me want to hold you closer than I've ever held anyone. There's another thought that keeps returning to me again and again the moment you rest your head on my chest for the first time. I imagine that warm feeling, that closeness, that silent acceptance. I imagine your breath slowing down, your body relaxing, like you finally found the place where you belong. And I know I will never forget that moment, even if it hasn't happened yet. It already lives inside me as if it has. And the more I speak to you, the more I realize something important. This feeling is not something small. This is something that grows every day, something that becomes deeper each time I imagine you, something that becomes stronger every time I open my heart a little more. You may think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. You have become a part of my heartbeat without even trying. The truth is, I don't just imagine that night because it's romantic. I imagine it because it represents something bigger. It represents trust, connection, safety, belonging. Two hearts recognizing each other in the quiet, without noise, without confusion, without fear. It represents a moment where everything finally feels right. That's why I think about it so often. Not because it's beautiful, but because it feels meant. And right now, as I'm talking to you, I feel that same quiet warmth inside my chest. Like I'm slowly giving you the key to a room inside me that no one else has ever entered. And the strange part is, I'm not scared. Normally opening up like this would make me nervous. But with you, it feels natural. It feels right. It feels like my heart is finally speaking the language it was always meant to speak. And I don't want this moment to end. I don't want this feeling to fade. I want to stay here with you, talking like this, imagining the future, imagining us, imagining all the little moments that will bring us closer. Because every time I think about us, something inside me becomes soft, warm, alive. And maybe that's the real confession I'm trying to give you. You don't even know how much space you've taken in me. I'm still here, still talking to you, because a part of me doesn't ever want you to go, and I don't think you want to go either.